Hi, and welcome to Cat Chat Live. This is our first Cat Chat Live webinar of the 2025-2026 academic year, and we are so glad that you've made some time to join us. It's been a rainy morning here on the UK campus. We've needed the rain, but I also noticed some very soggy wildcats as I was going through campus this morning. Hope your wildcats having a great start to their fall semester. And like I said, appreciate you making time to join us today. My name is Nancy Stevens. I manage parent and family communications for the University of Kentucky out of our Office for Student Success. And I'm really glad that we are able to share some really good information with you today about education abroad. So I'll go through a few housekeeping items in case some of you are joining a Cat Chat Live for the first time, and then I'll turn things over to my colleagues in Education Abroad and Exchanges. So we're using the Zoom Q&A webinar. Apparently, I'm just out of practice enough to be jumbling my words. Anyway, we're using the Zoom webinar platform today, and so you'll use the Q&A feature to communicate with us. We'll pause at a few points in the presentation today to take your questions, so be thinking of what you want to ask, but my colleagues in Education Abroad have a really comprehensive, helpful presentation, and so I think they'll anticipate a lot of your questions as well. We'll spend no more than an hour together today. We know that folks are busy and want to be respectful of everyone's time. If you're not able to stay with us for the entire hour, we will be recording today's webinar, and that recording will be available in our Cat Chat family community probably later in the afternoon, if not tomorrow. My colleague Kate is behind the scenes putting relevant links, information, dates, and things like that in the chat, so be looking to those. And if you have questions about any other topics related to the university, probably won't have time for those today, but would encourage you to always feel free to reach out to parents@uky.edu, and you'll reach my colleagues in family and civic engagement like Kate and be able to get the support you need and the information you're looking for. I almost want to put in a plug for the surveys that we do after these Cat Chat Live webinars. Your feedback's really important to us. It also helps us come up with topics for future Cat Chat Live webinars and things that you'd like to see. Speaking of future Cat Chat Lives, we've got a couple already on the books for the fall 2025 semester with more to come. I'm talking to campus partners all over who are interested in sharing information with parents and families. So we've got one later this month about Family Weekend coming up in mid-October. Got one a little bit later in the fall semester celebrating our first generation students here on campus. And as I said, more to come. Those registration links are in the Cat Chat family community, and as we're adding topics, you'll see those there as well. Before I turn things over to my colleagues, want to make sure that everyone is using the Cat Chat family community. When you have questions about UK, when you're not sure how to answer a question that pertains to your student's experience, we try to make sure all of that information is in the Cat Chat family community. So whether you're looking to get them connected to University Health Service if they're sick, or to mental health resources or academic support resources, all of that good information is in the Cat Chat family community. There's easy ways for you to share that info straight from the platform with your student. And so I hope you're taking full advantage of all of those different features. So those are my few housekeeping items. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to my colleagues in Education Abroad and Exchanges. So appreciate Neve and Olivia being here with us today, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you. Thanks so much. Hope you get some good information.
Thanks, Nancy. Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be doing a brief presentation today called Navigating the World of Education Abroad, specifically for parents and families to learn more about education abroad and how you can support your students who are interested in taking advantage of this opportunity while they're at UK. My name is Neve Larson, and I'm the Executive Director for Education Abroad and Exchanges at UK, and I'm joined by my colleague, Olivia, and she is one of our awesome Education Abroad advisors. So we'll go ahead and jump in. Please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A, and we'll pause throughout the presentation to try and answer any questions that you guys may have. So the first thing is, what is education abroad? Abroad. We are the Study Abroad office on the University of Kentucky's campus. Our office helps facilitate opportunities for your students to earn academic credit in another country, another state, or U.S. territory. A majority of the programs that we have are internationally based, but we do have a few domestic programs where students can study in other states as part of their UK experience. Study abroad students are allowed to use financial aid and scholarships to help cover the cost of their programs. We always tell students, please go and talk to your financial aid counselor. Please go and talk to the scholarship office to make sure the students understand exactly how those funds can be used for their program. But we, in our office, also has scholarships available for your students to apply for to help cover the cost of their experience. Students, we are here to support your students throughout the whole entire process. We have a large team with a ton of experience, and they are here to help answer questions, answer emails, meet with students, help them through the process of helping them to figure out what type of program they want to go on, all the way through helping support them when they return from their program. So we are a full service office with lots of support available. Most students can go abroad as early as the first summer after their first year. So we encourage students to think about study abroad early and often as part of their UK degree. It's not something that you decide a last minute to go abroad. So we really try to get in front of students early. We're at all the orientations. We talk to them in their freshman classes to see if they can start thinking about it, because we know it takes time for them to plan and understand exactly what it will mean to go abroad. And we have a ton of different program types. We have a ton of different opportunities. We go to a ton of different locations. So we have programs as short as a week to as long as an academic year. Your students are able to choose where, when, and how long they want to go abroad. Obviously, we want to make sure it fits their academic plan as well as their financial plan. And so that's part of what our office does to help support your students through the decision-making process. Here's a couple of folks that I just want to highlight from our team. These are our EA advisors. Every student at UK has their own education abroad advisor. We do advising by colleges, so every student is assigned an EA advisor based on what college they are in. These folks are great. They have a ton of experience. Everyone has studied abroad themselves, so really understand the student experience and the questions that students have and things that they're worried and wondering about as they apply for their programs. So we are really fortunate to have all these folks here on campus to be able to help support your students. We also have a great team of peer ambassadors. These are students, we call them EPAs, who've just returned from their own education abroad programs, and they're hired by our office to help have peer-to-peer conversations with students about studying abroad. Oftentimes, students really want to hear what it's like from other students, not just from us as professionals. So we use our EPAs to help promote education abroad, to help answer questions of students, to be another opportunity for support and encouragement for students who are wanting to study abroad. They are in our office. Oh, sorry, I paused. They're in our office every day, Monday through Friday. So students from 8 to 5. So students can come drop in. They don't have to make an appointment to talk with the EPAs. They are there to help answer questions and help students get started in the process and figure out what their next steps are if they're interested in studying abroad. Okay, now you can go to the next slide. Thanks, Olivia. So we have a lot of different experience types for students depending on what they're interested in. A majority of students know about study abroad. That's the kind of what we would call the traditional experience, where you go and you take classes in another country for a period of time. But we also have other options. Many students are becoming increasingly interested in internships abroad. These are academic-based internships. Most of them, significant majority of them, are not paid because of visa restrictions, but it allows students to get work experience in an international setting that will count towards their UK degree. We also have research opportunities abroad. Students who are education majors or from the College of Ag doing education programming are also able to do their student teaching abroad. So that is an interesting option if you're an education major. And then we also have service learning abroad, which is basically what we would consider volunteering, but for academic credit that's woven into an academic experience for students. We also have a bunch of different program types. So we look at everything on a continuum of support. So some of the programs that we offer have significant more support than others. Some students are really independent, and it's great for them to have an independent experience. Some students need a little bit extra support when they go abroad. So this is part of the decision-making process that students have to make to understand what kind of experience or program is going to be best for them. Our most popular and most supportive experience is what we call a faculty-directed program. This is where a UK faculty member teaches a UK course abroad with other UK students. These students pay usually a program fee and the tuition for a 1-credit course that's offered by our office. The next most supportive experience is the partner program. These are US-based organizations that create and coordinate opportunities for US students. They are in usually students are enrolled in different universities around the world. These organizations, they pick them up from the airport, they organize their housing, they do cultural events and activities. So they provide a lot of built-in support for these students. These organizations also have US-based offices here in the US to support the students, as well as the international-based office on site with the students in their program location. Those students pay a program fee to the partner organization and then pay for a 1-credit UK course that they have to take when they study abroad. The exchange is our most affordable option usually, and this is where a UK student is an exchange student at another institution that we have a partnership with. We send a student to that institution to enroll in courses, and that institution sends a student to the University of Kentucky. Students are with other local international students in their programs, and this program bills for UK tuition. So students pay the same tuition that they would pay to study at UK to go abroad. So for most of the time, the cost difference between an exchange program and being on campus is usually just the plane ticket. We also have direct programs where a student directly enrolls in an international institution. Again, very similar to the exchange program, except the students pay the tuition of the host institution. Sometimes that's more than the University of Kentucky, sometimes that's less. It really just depends on the specific institution. But the exchange and direct are both more independent options. The students, when they go abroad, are international students at those host institutions. So there are offices there on campus to help support the students, as well as our office, but there's not necessarily the same level of built-in support as there is with a faculty-directed program or a partner program. So why is education abroad important? We know that students gain an enormous amount of skills when they go abroad. Some of the skills and knowledge that they gain is useful for their time at UK. They're taking classes that count towards their degree plan. They are earning the credits that they need to graduate, but also students are gaining other skills. So we hear a lot from employers that we network with that study abroad and participating in international experiences are valuable for students. And they look at those opportunities when they're applying for jobs as something that's beneficial because students learn problem solving skills, communication skills, independence, resilience, all the different competencies that many of the employers that are looking for students when they are trying to hire them for positions. Also, we have data from a large research study that we participated in a number of years ago that shows that students who participate in education abroad often graduate with higher GPAs, graduate earlier than other students. And so there are a lot of myths around studying abroad delays graduation, but actually that isn't the case for the majority of the students at UK who study abroad. So this is a great opportunity, both academically and professionally, for students to take advantage of while they're here at UK. And so what is your role as parents and family in the support networks for students as they are thinking about or preparing to study abroad? It's all about support, right? So you are there to be their cheerleader, to be encouraging. If your student needs assistance, we want you to help them, but not to try and fix their problem. We really see this as an opportunity for independence to develop and grow the students' independence. They will be abroad. And so we want to make sure that they have the skills to be able to figure out how to handle challenges and situations while they are abroad. So we want to make sure students are leading this process. They're attending the meetings with us, they're responding to our emails, they're filling out the forms and the paperwork. And we want to make sure we're here to support them just like you are, but we want to make sure that the students are really in the driver's seat of this experience, because we feel like that is the best way for them to be the most prepared as possible while they are abroad. Some of you may be familiar with FERPA, but we also always like to touch on that. It's the Family Educational Right to Privacy Act, which is a federal law that the University of Kentucky has to adhere to. What we are not allowed to share specific information about your student or their education abroad plans or programs without their explicit consent. And so we always tell and encourage students to communicate with their families. Any information that we give them as part of their advising appointments or as part of the application, that they share that with their families. And then if you have questions, we encourage you to empower your students to have them ask those questions and relay that information back to you. It's a great way for us to make sure that students are really understanding the information that they've been given. We know that families and students have lots of questions as they prepare to go abroad. And so we have on our website a sub website, I guess you would call it, I don't know, called My EA. And that is a place where we have answered a lot of different questions about topics that we know that students and families often have questions about. There's things about cell phones and packing and money, health and safety, information about wellness and personal support. And so that is a great resource, both while your student is preparing to go abroad, as well as if your student's only even thinking about going abroad, or if you maybe have questions about something related to education abroad, that is a great place to start and look to see what information is on the website. And then always, your students are able to email or reach out or make an appointment with their education abroad advisor to get more specific information about any of these topics. So we might want to pause here and see, Nancy, do we have any questions that we need to answer?
We can give folks just a second if they have any questions about the information you've shared so far. While you were going through all of that good information, I was just reflecting on my own study abroad experience many, many years ago. And so much of what you're saying really rings true. I think I came back from that semester kind of transformed. I was much more independent. I was much more comfortable operating in the world. Still was in touch, obviously, with my family, although this was a pre-cell phone time many years ago. But stayed in touch with my family, but was forced to be more independent while I was there. And I think it was for the best. And so such a good experience that I reflect fondly on, and always appreciate the chance to talk to you all, because it makes me think about what a good experience that was. And so whenever I'm talking to students here on campus, I'm like, have you considered education abroad? It's very easy. You just go talk to them. They have such a great team. So yeah, I hope everybody on the call will at least encourage their student to explore it, and I think they'll find that it's much more accessible than maybe they thought. All right, I did see a question come in. I was hoping that to give folks some time to type. I know it can be hard. All right, Jeff is asking that he realizes this is a financial aid question, but for a direct program for spring 2026 and the payments due before the normal UK deadlines, how do we ensure all scholarships are applied with the funds due outside of UK? So again, that may be kind of more financial aid oriented, but would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that question, Jeff. One of the things that we would definitely encourage students to do is talk with their host institution to understand exactly the payment deadline. For these types of situations, there's often a form that can be filled out that is filled out by the financial aid office, where the financial aid office guarantees what funding the student is supposed to receive and what date it's supposed to be received by. And it's basically similar to a promissory note that says the student will receive this amount of money and on this date, and then the host institution often will adjust the deadline for the payments to be due. Again, for those specific program questions, I would also encourage your student to reach out to their education abroad advisor, because they are usually in very close communication with the programs. So we can make sure that we help facilitate the questions and get those answers for the students. But for the direct programs, usually there's not an issue based on most international institutions understand the timing of U.S. financial aid award distribution and how that impacts when students are able to pay their bill. So hopefully that's a brief answer, but we can definitely have the student connect with their host institution to get more specific details based on that particular institution.
All right, Jeff says thank you. So we'll can keep rolling with Olivia, but always we'll come back to the questions as they come into Q&A.
Awesome. Well, hi everyone. I'm Olivia Ellis. I'm one of the Education Abroad advisors. I currently advise for business and economics, engineering, and public health, but I've advised for pretty much all colleges or students from different majors in all colleges. So that's why I'm here today, to kind of walk you all through how can you best support your student when they're preparing for an advising appointment. Now, Olivia, why aren't you talking us through just supporting our student throughout the whole process, including them going abroad? To be honest, most of the work is up front. Once they figure out what they want to do and they've applied and they've been accepted, then it's fun, right? That's the exciting stuff. So where they're going to need a lot of your upfront support and encouragement is in this preparation for meeting with their EA advisor or finding their program, because not every student meets with us. There's not a requirement. And some students, you might even think, oh, well, my student's really, really good at this. They can handle it. They don't have to meet with us, but they are very highly encouraged, because as Neve said, we know a lot of those nuances about the financial aid forms, or about the on-site experience. What about the housing? What about this, that, and the other, that we can't always convey on our website, but we are happy to chat about. So I'm here to give you a little bit of a roadmap, and typically your student starts up here. We're gonna get a little visual for a second. So your student starts at the edge of the map. They're at UK, maybe they're brand new or they've been here for a bit, and they want to get all the way over here. They want to study abroad, and there's a whole lot of terrain between that might be new for them or new for you. Or if you've had another student go abroad, it might just be a different continent, a different world for you. So we want to help them get to that appointment as easy as possible, but it's going to take work. This process isn't hard. It takes effort. It is not always a straight line. There might be some doubling back every now and then to check information or make changes. But we have 5 kind of key points along the way that your student has perfect opportunities to make sure they're on the right track, they're going to get what they need, and then they're going to be able to chat with us and revisit a couple spots if they need to, or keep moving right ahead. So that's what we're going to talk about, is this kind of squiggly line of a journey and the 5 main points where you can be supporting your student as they get ready for an education abroad experience. Now, I did tell Nancy to interrupt me anytime if there are questions, because there are 5 steps, they differ. So if you do have a question about one of these steps, please go ahead and put it in your Q&A chat, and she'll interrupt me before we move on. But we can always come back at the end as well. Just want you to know, throw it in there as you're thinking. Now, the first thing is a first step session. This is something that we run for students every day of the week, either on Zoom or in person around campus. Students can attend this during any semester. We don't typically offer them over winter break. And then in the summer, we usually offer them at least one a week. First steps are led by our EPAs, our peer ambassadors, and it's going to cover everything that your student needs to know to start planning. It's got a lot of information, but they should walk away knowing the basics of who we are and what we do, what types of programs and experiences we offer, how to start planning for their time abroad. So the other things we're going to talk about here in a minute are included in that first step, so they have a guideline of what to do along the way. And they're going to get all kinds of details about planning for earning academic credit, taking care of your scholarships, navigating those packing and whatever other resources they need on My EA. And they're going to make connections with those students who have gone abroad more recently. So first steps is the first step. And this is the one kind of requirement, soft requirement that our office has set before a student meets with us. Every student has a journey that is different. These 5 steps that we're going through are the best way to set up yourself, for your student to set themselves up for success. But at a minimum, we need them to do this first step session so they have a baseline understanding of what we are and what we do. Now, like I said, it's a lot. So how can you support them? The big thing is we want you to remind them to go. You don't need to attend. You've actually gotten a decent amount of the information already from Neve's portion, and you're going to get some more from me in a little bit. But just remind them to go and cheer them on, because when they get out of that meeting, they're going to go, oh my gosh, what have I signed up for? This is going to be a lot. There's a lot of work involved. And there is, because you're going to another country, right? They're going to have a lot to do. And this first step session is kind of intentional in that way. It wants them to know up front that this isn't just a quick decision. This is something they have to work on. And we want you to help encourage and support them to continue on. So ask them some questions afterwards. What type of program stands out to you? Do you want to do an intern or a study program? What locations might be interesting? How are you going to get credit? Just ask them some questions about that first session and how it went and what they're thinking, so that they don't just go back to their dorm or their apartment and internalize it and shut down on it. We want you to cheerlead them in this part, especially. Now, after
Olivia's got a question that just
Yep.
came in asking, what if my student can't attend one of the first step sessions?
So like I said, we offer them 5 days a week at different times and locations. If your student cannot attend, our lovely EPAs are available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 in our advising office up here. And they take drop-ins anytime. So a student can come in and say, I've actually sent this in an email to a student yesterday who had the same question. I said, you just come by anytime and tell them you need to do a first step session, but you can't make any of the times. Can y'all help me with that? And they will sit down and talk your student through it, and it'll be much more one-on-one and customized or personalized. And if your student's like, I don't want to do an internship, then our EPA is not going to talk about the internship right then, right? So it's definitely a great opportunity for them to just drop in whenever they can and get the information. Cool. I'm about to move to step 2. So a short pause for any other step 1 questions. All right. Interrupt me, Nancy, just like you did. That was perfect. So after a student has attended a first step session, they have a lot in front of them, but the most important thing for our office to know is what they need to do abroad. And how do we figure out what they need to do abroad? Your student has to meet with an academic advisor. They should already know how, or if they don't know how, or they've changed colleges, their academic advisor is always listed in My UK. But this is going to be one of the most important people in the process for them, because every student who goes abroad is earning academic credit. We don't want it to be wasteful. We don't want them to spend money for no reason. We don't want to slow down their graduation. So their academic advisor is going to be really useful in helping them figure out, when should I go? Are there any kind of requirements for my degree plan that I have to do here on campus? Some majors require courses that are only offered on campus every other year, right? So we need to know when they can go. What is left in your student's degree plan? Do they still need UK core classes? Do they need marketing electives? Do they need their internship for materials and textiles? Like, what do they still need? And are there any special requirements? So some of our science-based STEM students or engineering students require labs as part of their maybe physics course. Do they need that or not? Do we need to find that abroad or not? Your student, in preparing for that conversation, should try to do a little bit of work on their own. It's always helpful for a UK staff member if your student comes in a little educated and knowledgeable about what they need and what they're looking for, and then your advisor can kind of pick it up from there and help them fill in any gaps. Now, where you come in is, once again, checking in with them, right? Students more and more need support throughout this entire process. And at this early stage, you asking them questions about what they're thinking or what they might do or how it's going to impact graduation is going to be the biggest support that you can offer them. So you're going to see a recurring theme here about asking questions. And this meeting with the academic advisor it's really crucial that you help your student wrap their head around what they might be looking for on their program, because there's going to come a time here in a minute, we'll chat about it, where they will have to think about, well, I personally really want to go to Florence, Italy, but I really need Spanish elective credits, and it would be really easy for me to do those abroad in Spain or in Costa Rica or somewhere else. I don't know what to do. And you're going to be perfectly situated to say, okay, well, what other requirements do you need? Do you need to do stuff that you could take in Florence? You don't have to know all the answers, but you can ask some of those prompting questions to help your student think a little laterally about what they want and what they need, so that when they come and talk to us, we can really help them figure out, is that possible? What can we do? And we can give them more concrete information on what they could do with their degree plan. Now, to Jeff's question earlier, one of the next big pieces is financial aid and scholarships. So Neve hit on it a little bit. There are some forms and things involved to make sure that financial aid and scholarships can be applied to a student's program. The big thing is that the earlier students start that conversation with the financial aid and scholarships office, the easier their life will be. Our office knows very general information. So for example, any of our semester-long programs, very generally, a student's academic merit-based scholarship can go with them. Now, is there a specific requirement about the number of credit hours they have to do? Maybe. Is there a specific form they have to fill out to still get their aid as expected? Probably. But it's unique to each scholarship. And so your student's conversation with their financial aid and scholarships counselor makes this really tailored to them, so that before they even start looking at programs, they know what their money is, they know when they're going to get it, and they know what program in general, might be the best use, right? So I put some questions up on the screen for them. For anyone just listening, I'm just going to read them out a little bit, but your student should be asking questions like, how can I use my funding on a program if my program tuition is charged to my UK account? It's like an exchange program. Now, what if my program tuition is not charged to my UK account? That could be like a direct or a partner program. How many credits do I need to earn to be eligible for my funding? And when will I get that funding? Those are kind of the three basics that when they bring those answers to us, we're able to really quickly filter out and say, yeah, let's look at a semester-long exchange program where you can get at least 4 courses for 12 credit hours, and the cost is going to be less than your attendance at UK. Like, right, this is knowing what their financial situation is up front helps us when they finally meet with us. Your support in the financial talk is crucial, because we know a lot of you all are financially involved in your students' life at UK. So even if you don't qualify for aid or scholarships, here are some things I'd encourage you to do. Help them complete and submit the FAFSA. Once again, even if you all don't normally do it or don't normally get results from it, help them submit it, because you never know. You never know what might actually pop up, and that little bit, even if it's $1,000 or $500, can make a difference. Talk to them about your ability to help financially and be realistic with them. My parents, when I studied abroad, they didn't have the money. They couldn't do it. They said, you will have to get scholarships and work for like this grant. And if you have to do a loan, like, we'll help you figure that out and co-sign, but we cannot help you fund that. So that was great for me to know. I was able to go in and talk to my education abroad advisor at my university and tell them straight up, like, here's my reality, and I have this scholarship money and I need something within that. And they were able to help me find it. Along with that, help them come up with a budget. A lot of students don't really understand the value of money until they have a large purchase or a large experience. Maybe they're starting to figure it out at UK. I know, again, for me personally, I didn't understand what $5,000 was until it got billed to me for my study abroad program. And I was like, okay, I make $8 an hour. This is a lot of work. So help your student think about, what is a realistic budget? What do they like to spend money on? How much money will be available to them? And talk them through some of that, because you may have real life experience in it. And if you don't, UK has a ton of resources to help your student as well. So my sister's not super confident in budgeting. And so instead of her talking to her daughter about it, she would send her daughter to the university's money cats or to the financial resources kind of offices to help get budgeting information there. And then this is really simple, but every single one of our programs has an estimated cost listed on it. Every single program, it's custom to every program, has some fixed expenses from UK and some estimated expenses based on on-site expenses or your airfare, things like that. Ask your student to explain it. It gets explained to them in first steps in decent detail. They're going to have to show it to their financial aid advisor when they go and talk to them. So ask your student to explain a program cost sheet to you so that you have a better idea of that expense as well. Money's a big deal, and we absolutely know that. And so whenever we have conversations with students in our office, this is one of the first 3 questions we ask is, what does your financial aid and scholarships look like? Do you plan to use it? Have you talked with financial aid and scholarships? So any support you can give them just to help them understand the cost will be more beneficial when they get to us and we can talk to them about the value of study abroad and comparing that value with the cost. Okay, financial aid and scholarships is a lot. Nancy's not interrupting me though, so I'm going to keep going. All right, 4th on the list. This is where it starts to get more fun for your student, if not a little more stressful for you. We want your student to start brainstorming goals. The more thought that they have put into it before they get to us, the more productive our conversation will be with them. We want our students to already be thinking about, how long do I want to go? Where do I want to go? Do I want to be in a classroom with other UK students that I might already know? Or am I okay being in a classroom with international students who, like, English might not be their first language? Like, what am I comfortable with? What's my budget? Do I feel confident in finding things to do on the weekend, getting from the airport to my housing, doing all these things on my own? Or do I want to know for certain that someone's picking me up from the airport? Someone is matching me up with other students for things to do on the weekend. Like, what kind of support do they need? And then there's always the want versus need. A lot of students want to go to, I keep harping on Florence because I just have a lot of students going to Florence and Barcelona right now. But a lot of students want to go to Florence and take wine and food pairing. I would take that. That sounds amazing. We also have a lot of students who want to take Florence sketchbook and art walks. Sounds amazing. That does nothing for my major, right? So helping your student needs to be thinking about what courses and what topics do they want to study? What do they need to study? And then when they come talk to us, we try and help them figure out a balance, and their academic advisor stays involved. But I never try to send an engineering student abroad for a full semester to only take high-level engineering classes. That would be exhausting, right? Even in journalism, students would be the same way, right? How do we incorporate some of what they want with what they need? They need to think about what they want. Your support in this, you've heard this statement a few times already, and you're going to keep hearing it, is to let them lead. You will have ideas on what they should do, where they should go, what they should want, and what they should need. That's great, but let them lead. Let them come up with some of these ideas on their own. Trust that they are making some decisions for themselves, but be there to check them if it's a little bit weird, right? If you have an engineering student who's like, oh, I can't wait to go to Florence and take that wine and food pairing class, and I'm going to take the Da Vinci sketchbook, and I'm going to take maybe thermodynamics, and then I'm going to take Italian culture. Maybe check them. Maybe help them pump their brakes a little bit. We will too. But that's where we want you to come in, is with some of that more like logical, rational thought versus the intentionally steering them in a way you want them to go, right? Help them reflect, don't steer them somewhere. And then a lot of our students don't actually take notes on things. That's a common trend we're seeing, right? Have them write it down. Help them talk it out and help them write it down so that when they come and see me, they already know what they want to do. They know what they want, where they want to go in general, and I can help them put all of their goals and their thoughts together into a coherent plan. After After they brainstorm their goals, this is where they start comparing programs. Now, this number 5 and number 4 are more flexible on the when should I do this part, right? I have a ton of students who come to me as they're developing goals, or maybe they've got their goals and they just need help even getting started somewhere for programs. If a student is confident enough to go ahead and start developing goals and comparing programs before they meet with us, it just makes their process a bit quicker and smoother in the long run, but it is not a requirement. It's just a really highly encouraged element. Before the comparing programs part, this requires a little bit more effort and critical thinking from your student. So one of the big things is you all offer so many programs, hundreds of programs. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. So our office has made a couple of tools to really help them, and you are welcome to browse these too. So one of them is our major advising pages, and then on our main website that I believe Kate had already put in the chat, if you scroll down just a little bit, you're going to see a horizontal bar that says browse programs by college or by major, something like that. And there's a little drop down box that when you click it, it has all of the colleges listed. You can click into that college. It's going to take you to another page, but it has some basic information, and then another bar that says browse by major. Click the box again, and let's say it's A&S, Arts and Sciences. You're going to see anthropology right up at the top. You're going to see history in there, the modern classical languages, all of the majors, some minors listed in there. When you click that, it takes you to a highlighted list of programs that faculty in that college have picked out for that major. These are not the only programs a student could do. They're just typically really good fits that students enjoy. So if your student's overwhelmed, if you're overwhelmed, start with the maps. Start there and then expand beyond it. We also list any faculty-directed programming on those pages, all of the faculty-directed programs for that college. So if your student wants a lot of support but doesn't know where to start, quick link right there to those faculty programs. If you are not satisfied with the locations offered on that, or if you're just feeling you're feeling some kind of way and you just want to see what there is, use our program discovery tool. Sometimes we'll refer to it as like our program search or browse programs, but this is where all of our programs are listed, and you have some filters, or you can type in keywords to narrow that down. So if a student wants to do an internship, you or your student could easily go in and click experience, intern. It's only going to show the internship programs, right? So these are some ways that you and your students could start browsing programs we offer. But then one step further is than just knowing the name of the program is to click into those pages and look at the programs, look at the courses offered, look at the cost, see if there's any special inclusions, what's the housing like. All that information is available on those pages, and it's going to give you and your student a really comprehensive overview of what the program could be. There might be some external links for more details. Dig, have fun, go at it. They say the most fun part of planning a vacation, which this isn't a vacation, but they say the most fun part of planning a vacation is the planning part, because it's all the excitement that gets built. Lean into that. Pop some popcorn, get some pop, sit down, look at programs, and share what you all find interesting with each other. If you're able to help your student narrow it down to their top 1 to 3 choices. That's not possible. I get it. We will help them narrow it down. But overall, your support here is, again, letting them lead, but then encouraging them to be open and asking them questions so they're thinking a little bit more critically about what's offered and what they want or need. They are going to look to you at this point, right? They're going to say, I don't know, or, maybe I've heard a lot of things about South America, and I don't know. I'm not sure, would I feel safe there? Your gut reaction, as my parents' gut reaction would be, oh, no, I don't know. I don't know about that place. Instead, let's say, well, let's look it up. Let's look a little bit and see what we think as together. Because if they want to do a business program in Argentina, let's not shut it down immediately. Let's do some research and investigate that. And that's where we want your support in it. Maybe that ultimately is not the best choice for them, but we want them to go into looking at locations, especially with an open mind, so that they aren't automatically closing themselves off to an experience that can really hit what they need academically and personally. So that's your big support for comparing programs, and kind of throughout is try not to have a knee-jerk reaction to ideas, but help them think through it a little bit more. And then you're going to feel more involved, and you're going to feel much more confident that your student is making a decision that works for them, but satisfies your needs as a parent or as a support system or as someone just in the student's life, that you know that they've done what they need to do, and our office is here to do what we need to do to make sure they're safe as can be, and they're getting what they need. Okay, now I said there were only 5 steps, so you know what's coming next, and that is the advising appointment. This is the time your student can schedule as many appointments with us as they want to. It's not a one and done. They can schedule them online. We've got a couple different ways through our website that they can meet with us. But your student needs to come to that meeting with whatever information they have prepared. Do they have top program choices? If so, I need them to bring them. And not just, Florence sounds good. Well, we've got umpteen hundred programs in Florence, Italy. Which program are they wanting to do? What requirements from their academic advisor do they need? That is super helpful for us. If I know a student needs marketing electives, that's a completely different conversation than a student who needs the Gatton Business and Economics core classes, which includes like analytics, communications, finance, like all these other things. So knowing, at least in general, what requirements we should be looking for is a major help in this. Information about scholarships, aid, their budget, whatever, once again, whatever information they have will only make our appointment better. During that appointment, I want them to take notes, and here's a support area for you all. Ask them afterwards what notes they took, what they learned from this conversation. We want them to come with questions they can't find answers to. We want them to make some effort, right? When they're abroad and they get off the wrong stop on the trains in Tokyo, we need them to be able to look around and glean information from resources around them and make decisions. So that's why we want them to try to answer questions and then come to us if they aren't sure of the answers. And we want them to be ready to talk to us. It's really difficult for us to have productive conversations if a student hasn't thought at all about what they hope to get out of a program. That ends up meaning the student's going to have 3 more appointments with me. They're going to have to go back to their academic advisor, go back to this, go back to that, and it's just going to make their process more complicated. So encourage them to think about goals and needs before they get to us. Now, your support is really key before and after the advising appointment. I specifically didn't include during, because we want you to send your questions and your concerns with your students. We want to really foster their independence from as early on in this program as possible. And I don't mean they don't talk to you at all. I just mean we want them to take ownership of this process. We want them to lead. We want them to drive. So if you can send them with your questions, then you're able to build trust with your student that you believe they're going to communicate with us, they're going to communicate with you. And if anything's ever not clear that they bring back to you, send them back to us, right? Give them the exact wording you want them to use. We would never give a student different information than we would give you. We just can't give you all the same information, right? So we're not going to hide stuff from your student that we would only share if mom was in the room. So send them with your questions. We really ask that family, parents, support people do not attend their education abroad advising appointments, because it just really changes the power dynamic for the student, honestly. I've been in several appointments where a family member might join and they don't let the student answer any of the questions. And our job and my office's role is to empower your student to do a program that is best for them. So build that trust, let them ask your questions, and then follow up with them like always. So after the education, we're almost done, promise we'll have plenty of time for some questions. But after the advising appointment, what happens next? Your student might have to backtrack a little bit, to be really honest, and you're just going to support them through that. Like, right, send them back to help them ask more questions. They might have to review what courses and requirements they actually need. They might need to go back and look at programs maybe they didn't find or didn't think about. Oh, well, an internship actually could get me these credits and things that I want. We'll send them back with things to look at. they're going to need to apply for a passport. I have it linked on here and we can be sure it gets out to you all as well. But UK has a passport office here on campus. It services any US citizen, but it is specifically like here to help your student. So they can go and apply for a passport on campus, full service, photo and everything. If they're comfortable and confident, and we'll tell them this, like when you're ready, apply. If you feel like you know what courses, you've got your funding figured out, this program looks great, apply for it. All the links to apply are on all of our program pages. So we don't hide them. It just, if they're not available, they're not open. And then apply for scholarships. So beyond their normal financial aid and scholarships package, they can apply for our scholarships, their college scholarships, whatever money they can apply for, they should apply for it because scholarships stack. And we've had students who, it freaks me out, but we have a program that is over $40,000. We have students who have gotten funding to pay for that entire program, right? Every little bit counts. And so your students need to apply for scholarships and apply for that funding as early as possible, depending on deadlines. Okay. So where do you fit in? Overview. Let them lead. You got to build that trust, help them build that self-sufficiency, encourage independence, help them, don't fix it for them. We will be here to support your student every step of the way, every stumble. So let them lead and trust in them in this process. Help them develop their goals, help them get all their stuff together. A lot of documents, a lot of finances, important dates and deadlines, help them keep track of that. Discuss their money with them, budgets, scholarships, what can you offer realistically? Again, don't do it for them. And then be ready to listen, but resist the urge to fix problems or say, this is how you need to do it. Let them lead it, but give them that, critical thinking that your life experience has brought you. And then emphasize safety and preparedness. Students go abroad and want to have a lot of fun. They do. But we need you to encourage them to make smart decisions and make safe decisions. We will provide some orientations to help with that. And we have folks in the International Center who will help with it. But they listen to you, usually more than they listen to us. So really emphasize safety and preparedness. Now I've talked a lot. So I'll go ahead and talk about the fall fair so Neve doesn't have to unmute. Next week on September 10th, we are having our fall fair here on campus. This is a student-focused event where they can come around and talk to all the folks in the EA office, all of the partners who run programs, faculty members who are running summer programs as well. This is really a fantastic opportunity for them to come, learn more about what's offered, see if something's really exciting for them, and they can enter a full EA summer program scholarship giveaway where the whole program, airfare and all, is paid for. So send your student, have them sign up, and if they get called on, they'll spin a wheel to pick where they're going and we'll pay for it. So that's our fall fair coming up. And then that's it. I talked more than I expected to, but hopefully it was really useful. And Nancy, we are happy to take questions, or if you get other questions, you send them to us, whatever. But I think we have about 5 minutes or so for any questions or follow-up.
Sure. I'm so glad that you talked about the fall fair. We really intentionally planned this Cat Chat Live to happen in advance of the fall fair. So I hope you'll encourage your student to stop by, even if they're just beginning to think that this is something they might want to do while they're here. This is a great, easy way to start getting some additional information, and get free food, free t-shirts. We know how to get students to events. So as folks have additional questions, I would encourage you to use the Zoom Q&A feature, and we'll take those for the next few minutes. We've got one right now that allowed me to use the program search tool, and it was very easy. So the question was asking for any information regarding semester at sea. So if you all want to speak to that, I can drop the link that I found when I did my quick search.
Yeah, I am happy to talk about it. So Semester at Sea, and I'll actually do a little quick walkthrough for us. Semester at Sea, I'll be really honest, because we're very honest with students up front, it is the most expensive program offered. All right. It is high expense. It's on a cruise ship. It is a voyage. But to find that program, and I want to be very clear and saying again, this is the most expensive. So when you see the cost, I'll pull up. Do not think that that is the only thing your student can do. But here we can type in semester at sea on our program discovery. There it is. We click into it. I think Nancy or Kate's going to share the link. In here is where we have all of the information on dates, deadlines, how to apply, the housing, what courses are offered on it, the costs, I'll get back to in a second, scholarships and funding, and even passports and visas if you need one. The program cost tab, this is where things are customizable. So EAP tuition, every student has to do it. We're just going to go in-state for this example. The university's mandatory fees, we don't set them. We'll go in-state for an example. Everything at the top is billed by UK, so it's kind of fixed. Everything at the bottom is billed separately. The program fee for a semester at C, you pick one or the other, we'll do standard, and it's pretty expensive, right? So this student could expect to need to pay $54,000 for a semester at C program. Conversely, just to show a little bit of a difference, we have, I don't remember the price, so you're really getting it honest. This University of Nicosia is on an island of Cyprus. When we look through it, it's got customized but the same information. And when we get to costs, you'll see the program fees around $1,300, and so the price for this semester is around $20,000. Right? So each program page has those unique costs.
Yeah, that was a really helpful walkthrough to be able to see the information that's there in the program discovery tool.
And
We'll
just
give
to
folks
add,
another, yeah, Neve, go ahead and we'll, while you're doing that, we'll give folks a last minute or so to type in any final questions.
yeah, and just to add, Semester at Sea will be at our Education Abroad Fair next Wednesday. So they'll have a table there, so your student will be able to visit and actually chat with someone from Semester at Sea to learn more specifically about what the voyage is like and more details about the actual experience on ship. So that's another great reason to visit the Education Abroad Fair.
While you're typing, I'll also pull up an exchange. My colleague Chelsea threw in the chat and I didn't see. She's like, show an exchange. So I'm going to pull that up as well while you're typing. So an exchange program is what's closer to your student's normal cost of attendance. I'll do this one here in Ireland. Chelsea also said we have an EPA this semester who did semester at sea. So if your student's really interested, we can help with that. So Maynooth, spring, cost, in-state, 15,000, right? The biggest cost is housing, and that will change based on location as well, and what your student chooses for housing. So that's why it's estimated. It could change a bit. Cool. I'm just going to keep pulling up programs, but Nancy, if you have questions, you show them.
Yeah, if you want to do one more, then we can certainly do that. And I'm not seeing any other questions come. I did double check. There is information about the Education Abroad Fall Fair in the Cat Chat family community for folks who want to follow up. And I have been sharing information from the Education Abroad social media accounts to the UK Parent Family social media accounts. So we're trying to spread the word about the Fall Fair coming up.
I would pick the exchanges that have the highest housing costs. I apologize. We have so many programs, I can't memorize them. So once again, if your student knows their budget, we can take some time to actually dig through and find the right type of program and then dig down deeper into the budgets for it. This one's a bit better. $12,000 for a semester in Seoul, South Korea. Not bad.
It's just cool to see all of the different options and yeah, dream and explore. Well, we've come up here on 1 o'clock here in Lexington on the Eastern time zone, but want to thank Neve and Olivia for sharing really good information, and thank Kate and Chelsea behind the scenes who've supported today's Cat Chat Live webinar. As folks have any additional questions, again, send your student to the Fall Fair next week. Encourage them to attend a First Step session. Any other UK questions that you have, you're always welcome to email parents@uky.edu, and we'll get you connected to our colleagues around campus or give you the information that you need right away. So we hope this was helpful. We're grateful for everyone's time and wish everyone a great rest of the day. Thanks so much, and go Cats. Bye, everyone.